Yeah. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. Every day we steady looking at the market, and we gon' tell you how to get started. Chain abstraction, fear and greed index, always looking at price action. Broke on advance, you don't even gotta mention. I swap it in the decks, you're not bullish enough. Traded in the segs, you ain't trenching enough. We do that market recap. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. Shizzy and Joggle beat. OnChain Revolution, network in the art. Every day we go live, baby, you know where we are. We mention all the networks and the crypto. Need some more liquidity. Flipping and trading is the recipe. Too many protocols to count. I get high and I'm never coming down. Number go up, then I'ma say peace. Yeah, you thought that I was gonna leave. Yeah, we just getting started, man. OnChain Revolution. Every day. Bring the beat back. Eyes everywhere, gotta be careful with volatile meme coins. You can get some bread if you round trip it, then you gon' regret. All this information in my head. BYOR, touch grass instead. Nobody really knows how it's gon' end up today. Somebody gotta tell you what's happening today. I don't let the money change me, no way. OnChain Revolution, here to stay. Yeah, say I'm Sage, man. Voodoo 2 on the way. Yeah, Nicky's. Yeah, OnChain Revolution. OnChain. Hey, OnChain Revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recaps, then I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, yeah, send it to the deck, sell it through the stack. Ordinal's the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge, look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin crypto ecosystems. What's up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live on the OnChain Hour, and this one is going to be absolutely amazing, guys, because we are about to enter a 10-week bull market that has not been seen since last year. We're going to go all the way to the end of May, maybe first week of June, before we see some pullback. I truly believe that. I truly believe that what happened yesterday with Jerome Powell is a signal pointing upwards for every part of crypto, not just Bitcoin this time. Because, you know, you can say we've been in a bear market since last April with just Bitcoin going up, right? Because that's how it feels. But now I feel like Bitcoin and crypto are going to run together, and they're going to run fast, and it's going to be absolutely exciting. But it's going to take 2 weeks before people to actually start noticing, right? That's how it works. But you can take advantage of this time period now, and really kind of get the assets that you truly believe in and truly believe are going to have the highest run in these next 10 weeks. And I truly believe it's a lot of the Bitcoin stuff. It's going to be a lot of maybe some Tau stuff, and then, you know, so on and so on, right? Ethereum's probably going to run hard as well. So position yourself the right way. Position yourself in assets that haven't run yet. Maybe stay away from Solana. Maybe stay away from stuff that has run, and kind of get into things that hasn't run yet. Because that's kind of how it goes. Everyone kind of pivots to the things that are kind of undervalued or oversold. And I think that's what we need to get into. And we're gonna find those assets for you guys, and we're gonna make sure that you guys are well positioned for this next 10 weeks. But just remember, it could be a sell in May and go away type of thing, where we come back in September and October and even have a 20-week run after that. And that's kind of what I'm expecting personally. And we're going to get into everything right now. So without further ado, I'm bringing my partner here, as always, Mr. Iago B. What's up, buddy? Uh-oh. Did I freeze or did he freeze? What's up, man? You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good now. Yep, you're good.
Okay. I don't know. That was probably my machine, but yeah. What's up, guys?
Yeah, man. Do you agree with me? Do you see maybe potentially a 10-week bull run starting now?
If this positive price momentum continues that we've seen in the past, like day, right? So,
Yeah.
but there's a huge red candle that just came in while we were doing the intro, man. Like it's crazy how sometimes this stuff just works, right? But yeah, it seems like there has been some positive stuff, with the FOMC meeting yesterday. Seemed pretty bullish, and then the markets like that, right? Overnight, seems like China's going through something with their economy, or their market crashed a bit, and so people bought up the discounted Bitcoin this morning, and then now we're seeing kind of a crash back. So there's something happening in New York as well with the Digital Asset Summit. So there's a lot of stuff happening. We're 5 days away from kind of the projections a lot of people had for the effects of the M2 money supply coming in as well. So maybe this is going to be volatile until then. We'll see.
Yeah, man. Let's kind of get right into the FOMC from yesterday. So the Federal Reserve leaves interest rates unchanged, remains between 4.25 and 4.5, basically signaling, hey, we're still in this pause period between rate cuts and potentially more rate cuts, right? No one is expecting any type of interest rate hikes at any point this year, but we are expecting at least 2 more cuts. Will take us down to between 3.75 and 4.25. That's kind of what I'm expecting. Big thing though was Jerome actually came out and said inflation is rising partially due to Trump's tariffs, and he came out and said that he thinks it's transitory. And that had the stock guys really running, because the last time that he said the word transitory, everything was flying. This was talking about the back end of 2021, maybe like September of 2021, when he was talking about transitory inflation. He's saying it again, and they're getting really bullish off that statement.
Yeah, it seems to be the case, right? And we saw the bullishness kind of happen throughout yesterday, but let's see if it continues, right? Because it doesn't seem like the bullish price action is prolonged very long the past month and a half, 2 months. So maybe we are in like this transition period, and this was the start of it. We'll see. I hope so.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's going to take 2 weeks for people to notice. I think we're going to have this uptrend for the next, 14 days, that people are going to be like, oh, wow, what's going on over there? But we're going to all feel it daily as we're here every single day paying attention. We're going to feel the upward movements, but they're not going to be seeing it until they see these giant candles that are going to be coming, in my opinion, in 2 weeks. But we're going to have this upward momentum. We're going to have this sediment actually return before they start seeing it, and I think that's what's about to happen. So a big thing that happened yesterday was QT reducing from 25 billion a month to 5 billion a month. So last April it went from 60 billion to 25 billion, and now for the first time since then we're going from 25 billion to 5 billion. Last April didn't really show any significant upward momentum because they did cut it in half, but this is like an 80% reduction. Stock guys are actually saying that this is a lot more bullish than last year, because there's not much more to cut. We're gonna have one more cut to go to zero, but the biggest thing from this is the mortgage-backed securities. So the mortgage-backed securities are something that he's really unwinding right now. He's not really adding any type of those, but right now they are still buying some assets, but they're done adding mortgage-backed securities, which could potentially, I mean, if people don't start buying houses, it could get really tangled. But he's actually comfortable with stopping that.
Yeah. And how do you get people to buy houses?
Well,
bring the rates down, right? Like,
Yep.
and also you bring the rates down, and it trickles down all the way to the consumer, right? But you have to also have a little bit of stimulation. I'm not saying like give stimulus checks out again, but you have to have the economy stimulated a bit, right? Like maybe jobs go up and companies building here again. So that is a good formula to get the housing market back on track, which that is always a good thing, right? But that's the biggest thing that I saw yesterday on my Twitter timeline regarding the Fed, was that it seems like they're cutting back a lot on QT, and it almost seems over, and that is probably what propelled yesterday's kind of bullish energy.
Yeah, and here's actually a quote from that meeting. He said, quantitative tightening QT will taper sharply, reducing Treasury securities runoff from 25 billion to 5 billion monthly starting next month. The people are saying it's a dovish move, signaling liquidity concerns. So he's concerned about liquidity in the market. He's done selling off assets pretty much. I mean, 5 billion, going from 60 billion last year to 5 billion this year. That's pretty significant. And then 25 billion was the last like 8 months, 9 months. So yeah, this is huge, really big. BitMEX co-founder Arthur Hayes actually chimes in and says QT is basically over April 1st. So again, he's signaling April 1st to kind of get really bullish here. And I do have the actual tweet from him. Let me show my screen here. All right, so this is it right here. He says, J Powell delivered QT basically over April 1st. The next thing we need to get is bulled up for reals. It's either SLR exemption and or a restart of QE. Was Bitcoin 77 the bottom? Probably, but stonks prob have more pain left to fully convert J to Team Trump. So stay nimble and cashed up. So I don't know. What do you think he's signaling here? He's been right. He's been right a lot the last couple months, especially saying, he called it at 104,000 that Bitcoin was going to go down to 70s. I think he had it going a little lower than it did, but it definitely hit 78.
Well, yeah. I think did it go lower? I think it hit 76. I think it hit 76. Yeah.
Okay.
But hey, that's close enough for me, right? I mean, the guy, I think he did say like the worst, bear case scenario would 70K. Actually, he was expecting that, but being off $6,000, in my opinion, is definitely close enough in this environment, right?
Yeah.
For how things have been. But yeah, so I think what he's saying is that Bitcoin seems to be kind of getting in this clear the environment, you know what I mean? But the TradFi sector might still be kind of not fully have that conviction in the current administration. But the good thing that did come out of J Powell yesterday, his statement was that he, in my opinion, he kind of downplayed the tariffs, right? Like he just said, "Hey, look, we've accepted them. We've accepted them as transitory." And I think that bundled in with the QE coming up was just a really positive message. And it was something that I think we all needed, right? Just for yesterday. Let's see if it continues, though. Obviously, we don't want to get too far ahead of everything and things go right back. But how many days until April 1st? 11, right?
11.
Yeah. So it kind of plays into that M2 money supply on the 25th. You got 6 days left. Get bullish, and then QT pretty much is cut down to 5 billion by the 1st.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into my thing of we're gonna have 10 weeks of bull market, with the first 2 weeks no one really realizing it except the people who are here every day. That's why I'm kind of saying I think people April 3rd, people are gonna be like, oh wow, it's time. When potentially you have 2 weeks of upward momentum to get there. I think we're gonna be at 95,000 before people even realize that we're in a bull market. So we'll see. So this is huge. President Trump to speak at the Digital Asset Summit today. It's going on right now in New York City. We have a friend there, Fonzie. He's going to be our on the beat correspondent today. No, I'm just kidding. But as our guy, we're going to be meeting with him at 2 p.m. He has a space, Ordinal Hive. So hopefully he can give us some details of what's going on there. But Trump's going to speak there. So one of the rumors is that Trump is to announce a 0% crypto tax today, according to Fox News. Fox News is covering it today. They're one of the biggest ones following it. I just noticed because Fox Philadelphia is actually showing it live on the TV. So that's a big deal because they don't normally do that, especially the smaller,
local networks.
Fox. Like if you go to Fox News or something but not like the local networks. And so the Digital Asset Summit is taking place today, March 20th. So what do you think about potentially this news here that he could put this crypto tax? So the rumor is saying anyone who holds crypto for over a year, you have to hold it for 365 days. Anyone who does that potentially will pay zero tax federally. You'll still have to pay your city tax and stuff like that, but federally it's gonna or state tax, city tax, but federally there'll be no crypto tax.
Yeah. You guys pay a city tax for your income?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What? That's
I'm in
crazy.
Philly. I'm in Philly. Yeah. So I pay city, state, and
we only pay the property.
I'm sure you pay county tax. That's how you pay your trash man and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, we pay our property taxes, and that goes into the city or the county that we're in and stuff like that.
Yeah, you guys don't have no state. So no state.
We
tax,
don't have state income tax.
Yeah,
but we do have property tax, and then property tax here is pretty high. But I think this would be huge. I think it would maybe create like a Bitcoin pump, especially if he says, because a lot of these Bitcoin ancient wells, they do sell whenever they come into a lot of profit and they feel right, but like a lot of them are just like I'm holding this is generational wealth for my kids and all that stuff, and they don't really see a point into really turning that into fiat, right? So it's going to benefit them a lot. But I do hope that he does something for the short-term games as well. Like, just, obviously they're going to still tax it, but maybe bring it down to like not 30%, right? Or something that is pretty crazy. I think that, just being tax friendly in general across the board would be great.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, all tax comes, but that's the whole point of tariffs, right? He wants to basically take us to a consumption tax of 27%, and then that's it. No other taxes. That's kind of what I've been hearing about from this administration. But in order to do that, though, you're gonna have to jack. I mean, tariffs need probably going to be 110% for that to happen, to cover all those taxes that are going to be kind of put to zero. But we'll see. It's definitely a pipe dream. We'll see what happens today. This is just something that Fox is reporting. So, but we'll move along here. My guy Plan B had a tweet yesterday.
I haven't heard much from him lately.
It's been a while. So he had this tweet. He says, fact, there's been no real bull market. Basically, no bull market equals no bear market. And the converging. Basically, so what he's saying here is, if you kind of look over here, right, you basically have the red, and then but it's really sideways, right? And then you had this over here, basically the same, and then here, pretty much the same again, right? But everyone's really saying that we are kind of like doing something like this that happened in 2016. So it's very similar to what is happening now, right? Do you see if it's a little bit more sideways here, but a little bit more upward momentum between this and here. But do you basically see sideways, right? From I guess you would, I don't know, continuation of this?
A little bit, right? For me, I'll tell you my experience. So my experience that I have is kind of like my mind is pre-programmed right now as to what have you done for me lately in terms of like the most recent bull market, which was 2021, right? And so when we went through 2021, we just saw these like very strong ups and then pullbacks and then up again, right? But the 2017 bull run that I experienced, it wasn't like that necessarily. Like, I wasn't as involved in the spring, but I got heavily involved towards the Q4, which was the blow off the top part of that year. And I think that's more of like a traditional style bull run for crypto. But for me, I'm so used to like what happened recently. And so that's why a lot of times, like, and I think a lot of people that are in it like every day now, and they remember that. That's like their short-term memory, right? And so because we're not getting like an aggressive spring, yet, and it's still March 20th. Yes, we are officially, in my opinion, like we have hit that spring. But like there's still some time for May. Maybe we get something great, but then maybe we don't. Maybe we haven't seen anything at all in terms of bull market for what he's saying here, because you can see the dots are kind of the consolidation levels, right? And then that Q4 blow off the top like 2017 happens. I'm constantly kind of going back and forth of like, what should we expect? And so lately I have been trying to just pull back and be like, hey, look, this year's going to be different. So it did seem to be closer to 2017, but it'll probably be much different from that even.
Well, two things there. The first thing is, this was, a year of a black swan event, right? This was it's so hard to judge that year because we have interest rates at zero. We had quantitative easing the entire year. It was complete, we had a president who we thought was very anti-crypto came in, and we thought maybe this administration, the Biden administration, was going to be a little bit more friendly to crypto. Because the last time we heard Trump before Biden took over was him saying, he doesn't like Bitcoin and stuff like that. So we were a little afraid in that sense. So getting Biden, we felt a little bit more certain that he was going to be crypto friendly. We were dead ass wrong. But at the time, though, during this upward momentum area, we felt very comfortable in crypto. But it being that anomaly year where everything was different. But coming back here, this very similar as well, because we had a new president named Donald Trump. He was talking about these tariffs things. Everyone was kind of expecting to get away from the norm, with the Democrats been running for 8 years prior to that. And then if you go look back, even back here, we had very similar to kind of what we had here, where we went up and then down, kind of leading us into the orange. and we're getting our first orange dot. I mean, this is no longer red, and it's very similar to what we had here. But if this, I mean, we could potentially see something like 2013, where we just have this upward momentum because it's running out of time, right? We're running out of time here, and that's something that I'm kind of expecting. I'm expecting us to have something like this from month to month, at least 1 month, before kind of a blow off top. And we saw here that that was a blow off top, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. It's tough, man, because like again, a lot of these data providers like Plan B,
yeah,
and I don't know if it was Benjamin Cohen that provided CPI data trends, but whoever did, using that, it's hard because really smart people are really, pretty much they're accurate
yeah,
for the most part. They're getting it wrong, and I think it's because we're just you get stuck, and that's sometimes that happens to traders too. Like they'll use like an indicator strategy that has like crushed it for them, and then they're like, oh no, why is this not working? Like something's it doesn't make sense at the time, but it's because like this is an innovative new market still, and there's huge players that came in, and we got to accept the fact that things are gonna not just always stay the same.
yeah. Well, Plan B has been right for pretty much this entire area, right? Like he's not saying that we're anywhere near a blow off top yet, right? So he has plenty of time to still hit his number of 700K or 500K to 700K. I think that's his number. My number being 700K. So he has plenty of time here. So like I don't think that any data point we've seen so far is wrong. They're just they just
Not wrong
need more
at
time.
Yeah, they're not wrong. Well, everybody needs
Yeah.
more time, right?
Well,
But
no, because there's a 4-year structure, right? Like we haven't hit the back end of that structure yet. So
oh yeah,
you got to give it. Maybe we're not
patient.
excelling off the
We're
bat,
not paying.
but
Mhm.
exactly. But it can still have time to kind of do its thing. It's just we've had issues with a new president coming in and he's shaking things up, right? So there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets, and that could be causing this sideways or downtrend that we're in, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's pretty obvious. So.
yeah. I mean, it definitely looks different than the previous cycle there. If you look at the red
You can't, but
dots,
this is tough though. I would say here because
it looks
this was an anomaly
different, but it
year with
looks different. It looks
QE.
different than that. Even this one was like more.
Uh,
It was at least in like a consistent trend, but you can see the volatility
yeah,
that we're going through right now, and that's the volatility I
yeah,
talk about every day on the show. And I think that's the frustrating part for most people that are in this space every single day is that like we are impatient because
yeah,
we have an expectation that's not being met, right? And I think that's a problem. I'm talking about myself for the most part here, right? Is that like there's this expectation that like this heading into the spring was going to be bullish for alts
yeah.
for everything, and when you don't get that, then you start looking at the data and you're just kind of like, oh man, this data ain't hitting. But you're right, it's kind of we still have 9 months left of this year, right?
Yeah.
And that would technically kind of finish the 4-year template cycle would be
Yeah.
at the end of this year. Then you can kind of I think look back and be like it
He
didn't
was
hit
wrong.
or
He
it did
was right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is too is like you mentioned Benjamin Cohen. He's been right again. Like he's still saying that we're not going to get bullish until we get quantitative easing. Like he said that
April
from
1st.
I mean,
Well,
well,
not full
no,
on, but not full on, but
yeah, that's still tightening technically. He's saying that he doesn't really see us getting bullish until end of this year, early next year. I mean, that's kind of what he's been saying. He's been saying that for a long time. So, and he's just somebody, dude. He's been right. Like I watched his video yesterday. Again, dude, he's just been spot on. Benjamin Cohen, he's a Bitcoin maxi at the end of the day, right? But he's been spot on. It's been spot on. So. All right. The next thing here is Tether is now the 7th largest buyer of U.S. Treasuries in 2024. Tether holds 33.1 billion, ranking among entire nations. So I do have a chart here to kind of show that. This was crazy to me when I saw this. So you have the Cayman Islands being number 1, which is kind of funny to me. France number 2, Luxembourg number 3. Belgium 4, Singapore 5, UK 6, and then Tether. I mean, country. Like, this is not a country. This is a company. Like, this is crazy.
that is crazy. But this is why, yeah. I mean, some people might say, is this bullish? Is it not? You know, the U.S. economy and the state. I think it is bullish, right? Because it's still, you know, the strongest economic market, like from a financial market standpoint and a consumer market standpoint, right? It's the largest right now, and so this is another example of Tether kind of doing stuff outside of our space as well, right?
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh, they don't have collateral, they're not collateralized, they're not showing everything. Well, you see this, they have like $33.1 billion worth of US treasuries, right? And they're also picking up other assets and acquiring other things, right? So that's what really makes me bullish on Tether. There's a lot of hate towards them. I think it's more of like these bear, you know, whales that like want to
Yeah.
crash the markets, and they hate every time Tether prints a bunch of USDT. They hate it because they know that like Bitcoin's gonna pump not long after that. So
Yeah. Well, this is a big difference too, because I remember in 2020 or 2021, the big FUD on Tether was they own yachts and buildings all around the world. That's how they were backing the dollar, with yachts and buildings that they were buying and stuff like that. But at that time, they were probably right to do that because you know, everything skyrocketed in value against the dollar because of inflation. So by them
yeah,
having their money in things that, giant like boats and giant buildings and these towers that they had, they probably sold all of them and made out like bandits and then bought treasury bonds, right? So Tether has been just one of those companies that's kind of always been ahead. And I can see Tether and USDC and maybe Athena being 1, 2, and 3 one day, because that is the easiest way to stay liquid but also gain yield at the same exact time. If you're going to hold all these dollars that you're backing 1-to-1 with Tether, you might as well try to get some yield on that, right? Because of inflation, because those dollars lose, between 2 and 3 and 4%, and anomaly years like 9% we seen a few years ago, right? So you have to try and get as much as you possibly can to kind of make sure those dollars aren't inflating to zero. And doing that is buying these treasury-backed securities. So, I mean, these bonds pretty much. So can you see potentially Tether, USDC, and Athena being 1, 2, and 3 in treasury holdings?
possibly. I don't know too much about Athena, but are they
They're
starting
they're
to?
they're big. Yeah, they're the biggest stable coin besides USDT and USDC.
Do you see?
They're number 3.
Yeah.
But obviously you have PayPal and stuff like that, but they're so small. But they're probably considered top 5 trusted. But Athena's offering 20% yield on a lot of their assets. It's obviously,
Ooh.
but they're giving away their token, right? So their token they printed out of thin air. That's how they're giving you the percentage.
What
Because
was
they're kind
Luna
of like,
paying out in?
Luna was 20%, but that was different because that was
What were they paying out in
and I
though?
was they're paying out Luna.
Okay.
But that
Okay.
was different because that was an algorithm, right? So it
I
was
thought
like
I thought
the more
Athena
US
was part algorithmic. Is it
No,
not?
no, no. They're not. I don't think they're algorithmic at all. I think they're very similar to what these guys are doing. So they're decentralized. I think that's one of the they're not a company, for instance. I think they're a decentralized organization, kind of like MakerDAO with DAI.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I do think that the stable token companies, you know, Circle, Tether, they're going to
Yeah,
be like the huge conglomerates in the future. You know, that own multiple different like business types in the industry, as well as you know, real world assets that are like you said, you know, the yachts, that sounds kind of like I don't know, but like the buildings, it depends on when they purchased them.
yeah,
Obviously, if they were commercial buildings, that sucks because of COVID and that really drove it down. And it depends on where you put it. If it's in Manhattan, I think that it probably still do well. But you know, that's the kind of stuff that like you see like huge companies become when they
yeah,
start making chess moves like that early on, and they've been doing
yeah.
it for years. So
Yep, yep. So, but they're out of all that now. Now they're in to these bonds, assets, and they're holding a lot more dollars than they ever had as well before. But I
yeah,
think before they were just trying to make money,
well,
because they were,
well,
they were a
don't
lot
forget
smaller than they
though
were.
that like they own mining facilities too, or they have partial equity and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yep. And they're building a building in El Salvador right now as well.
Yeah.
But they make $24 billion a year, right? So you need to put that money somewhere. And if you take that out for whatever reason, then you got to pay taxes on it. But if you put it into your business it's kind of tax free as long as you're building and keep moving forward. But we'll see if they're even getting taxed in El Salvador. But I think they're gonna become a U.S. company really soon. I truly believe that, but we'll see. The last thing here before the fear and greed, Polymarket users predict an 83% chance that XRP ETF will be approved in 2025. 83% chance. If let's just say we get this in April or May, they come out and they say, yeah, we're going to approve Solana, XRP, ADA, this one. The reason why we've delayed them so far is we don't want to pick a winner. We want to put all these 10 out. We feel like these 10 are the top 10. Right now, we're going to be considering others, but I think that they're going to do a 10 ETFs at one time because they put XRP out and then they put Cardano. You're kind of picking the winner, right? I think we should do is put them all out at the same time, and I think that's what they're kind of planning on doing here. A Polymarket thinks 83% chance. What do you think?
Yeah, they have. They're starting to have more and more influence, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and I hope that it doesn't get to the point to where they are, completely singled out as like this huge winner, right? At the end of the day, even if they put the 10 out, everybody in the public's going to look at them as like, okay, they picked those 10 winners and all that stuff. But I do think it's important because eventually, if these digital assets really start to show strength after the ETFs and stuff, then like 6 months down the road, and I know it's going to happen before that, you start to put together index funds of them, right? The ones that have the ETFs out, that have like the strong, like stable strength. And I think that's another thing that the governing entities or whatever are going to be looking for is stability, for like the blue chip assets. And doing ETFs is one way to kind of start that process.
Yeah, 100%. And what I think it's going to be the 10 American tokens that they've talked about, right? And that's why I don't feel like they're kind of picking a winner in that sense when they're letting basically the 10 most organized in. It's their job at this point to kind of get on that list, whether that's Hedera and some other ones that we've seen, Sui and stuff like that, and maybe Aptos and Say, right? Like I think they're just kind of making sure that they have as many as possible to kind of push them all together and not do a 1-by-1 situation, because what that's going to do, that's not going to be good for markets, in my point, and what I'm thinking. So, but let's get into the Bitcoin fear and greed here. It is up, bro. So it is up a lot. So last week we were at a 45. Yesterday we're at 32, and I said yesterday I was expecting the high 40s, and that's exactly where we're at today. What are you thinking?
High 40s? Okay, 48.
Pretty much 49 right there. But we are neutral for the first time in about a week and a half since last week. This was the last time we were neutral, was last Thursday, and right now we're sitting at 49. Yeah, let me ask you this. Do you think it's maybe a good idea to buy on Monday and sell on Friday? Just because like it seems like every Monday and Tuesday we're in fear, and every Thursday and Friday we're kind of in neutral. At this point, it's like buy on Monday, sell on Friday, buy on Monday.
I mean, spot, yeah. There's probably, if it's being very consistent, not leverage at all, no way. It's too risky.
Yeah.
With how volatile our markets have been, even though they're getting better, it's getting better. Like, and when I say it's getting better, that's how like short mindset we all have here, because it's been better for 2 days, and we're like, it's getting better,
Well,
right?
we got economic data though, right? We got quantitative tightening dropping by 80%. Like that's why I think a lot of people are saying that, right? So. All right. Let's kind of get into that Bitcoin price action brought to you guys by Artura.finance. Artura is getting ready for something big. We're going to be doing an Artura roundtable here where we're taking 150x leverage. There's going to be 6-7 of us all in a recorded session, and we're going to be taking leverage and going to see who the champion is. So far, we got Mr. BRC going to be joining us. Fonzie's probably going to join us. A bunch of other people. If you are interested in joining us, please reach out to us and let us know. We can add you to that recorded session, and it's going to be fun. And like, if you do win, I'm going to give you time to kind of pump your project or pump a project that you're in. It is free marketing for you guys. You guys come on our show and talk about your token if you win, or talk about your project or whatever. So if you're interested in joining us, anyone can win this. It's 150x leverage, and it's going to be a short time frame. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And it's all going to be brought to you guys by Artura.finance. They're building a leverage trading platform on Bitcoin. If you don't know what they are, you need to go there. They're doing right now, if you make one leverage trade, you're going to actually get put into the raffle, and it's free because it's paper trading, right? And that's the best part about Atora. They're going live on mainnet really soon, which they're going to allow you to get an airdrop of the Atora token and of the potentially the Hemi token. So you're double dipping when you're using the Atora mainnet. So we want all of our community members to use that, guys, because we want you guys to get this Hemi token. Hemi is going to be an L2 on top of Bitcoin. This is one that's going to be a big deal because they're backed by Binance. And by using Artura.finance on mainnet in a few weeks, maybe a month away, potentially you guys will be able to start scoring some really big airdrop opportunities. And that is all brought to you guys by Artura.finance.
Yep. And during that roundtable too, guys, like it's really going to be relaxed, and so if you have any trading skills, join. We will ask a couple people, like, why you did what you did, and so you can kind of the whole idea is to really help the audience learn about their platform, as well as get some tips from some people that have some trading experience. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into the Bitcoin price action, guys, help us out on the YouTube side. Smash that like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. On the X side, hit that like as well, and please share this space, as we want to educate and onboard as many people to crypto and Bitcoin ecosystem as possible. And if you could share the stream on Abstract, that'd be great. But let's go ahead and jump into some Bitcoin price action here, starting with the hour chart. As always, see if there we go, got it on the first try. Awesome, cool. Yeah, so big uptrend that we saw, right? We just saw like a nice one. This was actually leading up until this morning, and then a pullback leading up until the bell that rang at 9:30 Eastern, and they were bullish, man. I guess off of the economic data yesterday. We got all the way up to about 86. Was that 86,400, around there? So things were looking bullish, looking like we could possibly get back to 87,000, but it seems like right now we kind of are in this kind of back and forth. After that good pull up, it did pull back down. There is the digital asset summit that's happening right now, so people were probably pumping a little bit into, like, before Trump talks about it. There's this big speculation about taxes and all that stuff, so we'll see how the rest of today goes. But right now we have been in this oversold territory on the stochastic RSI, but sitting at like a 23, right? So we were well below that, sitting at like 2, and now we're at like 23. But it seems like where do I want to go? Like, we pumped early this morning, and then now it seems like it's pulling back some. You can see the MACD as well, like it did kind of lighten up here a bit, then seemed like it wanted to turn bullish, but then now it looks like the market makers are back at it, right? They're getting everybody liquidated again that was bullish for this short period of time. And that's the name of the game, man. That's just what we've been going through, right? So there will be a point in time where I think we do see consistent positive price action. But as you guys know, with leverage and taking shorts and longs, that this is a risk that the market makers are definitely going to make you feel if it doesn't go your way. But anyways, for a second half of today, I imagine things possibly get more bullish as that announcement happens with the president. But if it's a nothing burger, then we'll probably get bearish again. So right here from the indicators, though, it seems like it does want to stay down here a little bit. So I'll just be very careful, getting into anything, and watch the price correlating to whenever he does come on and speak, and then maybe wait until after that and see what the market reaction is. That's what I'm gonna do. But yeah, so second half of today, I would say, choppy. I thought a little bit more bullish, but now, from what I'm seeing here, I'm just, my caution signs are back up, right? So I'm gonna just sit back, kind of watch how the market reacts to that announcement that he makes, and then try to play something after that. So that is the 1 hour chart, and then let's go to the 4 hour here. You can see in the 4 hour chart here, we're actually still in the green on the MACD. So the buy pressure is saying it's there, at least on the 4 hour time period for these candles, but it is starting to weaken here. So this could reverse, though, if we do get some bullish activity, from the reaction of the markets after today, and then we can turn a dark green again. But that's going to really determine upon how the market reacts. You can see here, there's been a lot of consolidation on the 4-hour though, up, down, up, down, up, down, and so going back to the 11th. It's been like that, right? So that's been really tough. Is like, yes, it gives you a 2 to 3 day forecast on maybe what's happening with using these indicators, but that's been tough to kind of predict being so choppy here. But it's actually also not necessarily too bad if you're safe taking like 2 to max 5x leverage, to say, okay, at least I'm not getting wrecked too hard on the 4-hour chart, which is about 9 days of activity. So down and then consolidation. What happens next? Going into M2 money supply, possibly back up, but we need some, really good market reaction here in the next couple of days, leading into the 25th, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man, great job as always. I don't know, man. That looked a little bullish to me. I don't know. Like I'm feeling it, bro. I'm thinking we're gonna hit 88, 89 today. Is that a possibility?
Definitely a possibility.
Okay.
I think like my PTSD is just kind of, flagging sometimes because like, oh, this morning looked good from like when the bell rang until about 30 minutes ago, whenever they're taking it back down. And when do they go to lunch? You always know, because
11.
Okay.
Between 11 and 1.
Okay,
Eastern.
so that was about whenever it started to kind of go down, right? Is like when they went to take their lunch break. So we'll see, man. We'll see. There's definitely like this bullish energy that's like underlying right now, but it's still like, okay, we're not gonna explode up yet until we get more confirmation. And I think that's probably the right mentality to have, because once you do get the confirmation, we break out and let's say we cross back over 90K, that's a milestone, kind of getting back and getting a win. So yeah, that's where my mentality is right now with Bitcoin's price action.
Yeah, 100%. I actually heard this from somebody. Actually, one of the shows I watched, they say the biggest deals are made between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock at lunches. The lunches are like when business partners, they kind of go together to lunch, and that's when they talk about their deals and stuff. So they're not looking at the markets that whole time. So that is another reason why between 11 and 1. And if you try to in New York City around one of the buildings, especially like the Wall Street, it's almost impossible to get a lunch spot between 11 and 1. And so that was actually interesting to find out as well. So but yeah, let's kind of get into today's roll call here. So Webdro and Danny have been letting people kind of get in recently. I was looking at this chart, but Danny said not today. He said, I'm back. Shout out to our boy Danny Boy D-Blocks #1. Shout out to you, my friend. Back, he left something. And your last time you got in, let's see, was on the 11th of March. So you guys were just kind of letting it go. It's been a while since Webdro. Webdro hasn't won since the 7th. Wow, you guys are just kind of letting people catch up here. ASAP Benji has been someone who took advantage of that. He got his 4th win this week. Mats is on the board. Lucky Lukey got his 3rd. So it's been interesting. This is interesting. But Danny said not today. He is 1 away from that #1 spot, which Webdro is holding right now. And yeah, we'll see. It's a race. It's a race to the frog right now. Interesting.
Yeah.
So. All right. Danny was here. He said, what? And then he said, I've been refreshing all day. I'm literally dizzy. I mean, that's what it takes. It was funny. And then it was funny. Nighthawk was put a post at us yesterday. On Wednesdays is our big meeting day. We meet with like majority
Wednesdays
of our
and
partners on
Thursdays.
Wednesdays. And Thursdays, yeah, for sure. We meet with our majority of our partners on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So on Wednesday, it's probably going to come out a little later, depending on if all of our partners can meet us and stuff. So that is why it came out a little later yesterday. But shout out to you guys, man. Danny says, needed the W. It's been a while. Reaper better stay away. And he stayed away. He stayed away yesterday. So shout out to you guys, man. Nighthawk says, GM, what the heck? I'm going straight to hell to get the Reaper. Shout out to Nighthawk. Nighthawk, no. I can't keep watching. Tim Baker says Danny. Malam Yuri with a yo. Webdro says Danny closing in. PJNZ summoning the Reaper. Make me first. Always a possibility. Always a possibility, guys. Nabab is here. Shout out to Nabab. And Nagi is here. Babu says Mr. Yagobi, Mr. Shizzy. What's up, buddies? Shout out to Babu, man, here every single day. And shout out to Superfan. I was in the space last night, the Big Noodle block runner space. Absolutely awesome. The updates coming out from this guy are awesome. If you guys are not following Superfan, if you're not following Big Noodle, you need to be following him. They even summoned Benny. Benny showed up, and we're going to get into what he was saying later, but very interesting. Everything coming out of the Cap DMT neighborhood of builders is really getting interesting, and we'll get into that a little later.
Yeah.
Myself says I'm over the Fed interest rate teeter-tattering game. 2017 was entirely rate hikes and crypto still pumped. 2021 was entirely rate cuts and crypto still pumped. So rate cuts, yes. Crypto's never pumped on a rate hiking cycle. It's never happened.
Yeah,
So,
I don't remember what was happening in 2017. But I gotta look. But 2017 was so, in my opinion, still like there was still a small group of people that were playing there, you know, and so it was weird how it was weird how like economic data would affect it and wouldn't affect it. But like 2021 definitely, I think that changed it. Like everybody started thinking, you know, correlating rate hikes to the price of Bitcoin and TradFi together.
Gotcha. Hope to see you, says Trump just finished speaking and it was just a bunch of mambo jumbo, nothing important announced. That's disheartening. Yeah, it sucks. I gotta check my guy at Well Guru or Watcher Guru. Myself says the Federal Reserve should be abolished. They've only economic harm since their existence. I mean, you can say what you want about them. Jerome Powell pretty much saved us a little bit from inflation. I mean, in December of 2022, we were at 9% inflation, and today we're a little over 2.5%. I don't know. Jerome Powell, in my opinion, has done a great job. Am I wrong?
Yeah. Well, I think, I don't know if myself is talking about like from the beginning, but like the creation of it was completely self-interest. You know, monopolizing U.S. money and like who gets to control it. We don't get to control our own money, especially if you use a bank. You know what I mean? True. And so, you know, that trickles down to no matter how good you make the model look, it still has that self-interest that's like really making this like engine going. Now, I mean, it's also helped probably in different ways, you know, the U.S. economy over time. But I agree that there's definitely some evil to the overall aspect of it.
I mean, the 14 magic money computers that Elon has found, that's not good, right? So no. I mean, they're not selling bonds anymore. They're creating them from thin air using these computers. I mean, people say get the money printer. They don't even need a money printer anymore. It's just a few clicks of a button. Scary.
Yeah, but just the like how it started, meeting at Jekyll Island off the coast of Georgia, with the JP Morgan and all these prominent, you know, and then that whole situation, the Red Shield. You go watch Ray Dalio's video. You can learn about it. It's very interesting.
Yeah, man. Kai FX, GM guys. No is here with his Nuki. Shout the No S. Every single day, this guy's coming in here and he is shilling bells, and I fucking love it. Thank you so much, S.
I do too.
You are absolutely awesome.
Bellish.
Thank you so much for being a part of our community. We're definitely bellish, man. Hazib is here. Shout to Zeeb. He said the pump is among us. Yes, among us. It has become. Try to sound cool there, but I cannot. Rick G is here.
Yoda?
Shout out to Rick G. Long live VTC, says Rick G. Shout out to Rick G. Myself says ISM business cycle chart has been pretty accurate and rhyming with all coins cycle tops. The things are pretty good in crypto when it is above 55. And I would love for you to send me that if you don't mind at Shizzy OnChain, or at what is it? OnChain Rev. Please, I would love to see that if you don't mind. Or pop it in here. That would actually be even easier now to think about it. But yeah, Claudiu says yo. And then our guy Mark from Launch Punks. Shout out to Mark. Love you, sir. You are amazing. MBNU is here. He is in you. For sure. Shout out to Mark.
Whoa.
Hey, I don't know. I just said words. Claudiu says the pump is among us. Shout out to Claudiu. Shout out to all you guys who make roll call every single day. Without you guys, we are nothing. We appreciate you guys every single day. Absolutely the best community in crypto, from all you guys, from the first to last year. Absolutely amazing. Thank you guys. All right. Let's kind of get into all right. So we have something here before we get into the Bitcoin ecosystem stuff. But Coinbase released its first Ethereum validator performance report, revealing its validators managed 3.84 million ETH, which accounts for 11.42. So that isn't all of Coinbase. So if you take your Ethereum to Coinbase, they will stake it for you using their validator. So most of it's probably theirs, but probably a lot of it is probably the users of Coinbase actually staking it on Coinbase. So one thing about Ethereum on Coinbase is you don't need to actually stake it. Just having it on there actually earns you some rewards. Yeah, which is pretty cool. So
wait. So you don't have to make the conscious decision of like clicking and saying stake it, which makes me think that they're acting like banks.
I mean,
meaning
at the end of the day,
like, hey, you want your Ethereum, you can always take it out, but while you have it here, we go use it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what they're saying. Yeah. So they will pause your shit if too much Ethereum is being withdrawn. I mean, they will.
We saw it with Solana. I know Solana doesn't have like a proof of stake validator.
They do.
System. Do they?
They
okay,
do.
So maybe that's why they did it.
That is why.
I don't know.
100%.
Okay.
That's what during the Trump thing was the Coinbase struggled. Coinbase and Binance struggled because they're actually staking using their validators. They stake 90% of their tokens. They only keep 10% of it there. But one thing about the Ethereum stuff is I think they keep a lot of it in ST ETH, which are the Lido stake ETH, so they are able to sell it if they need to. It's just taking the loss, but the loss will be on them.
Yeah. Gotcha. Which that works perfectly for like a centralized exchange, doesn't it?
It does.
It's kind of it's like
100%.
okay, like if you find yourself in a jam, it's almost kind of like they all gathered together and helped the Ethereum Foundation create that. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, Coinbase was a big backer in Lido. They're one of the biggest investors. So, but I mean, it's genius though because it doesn't exist. There's no such thing as staked, JP Morgan coin or staked whatever like
dollars,
staked to Amazon or staked out. There's no such thing. But what Lido is doing, they're allowing you to stake your ETH and giving you a receipt for that ETH. Yes, that receipt it sells a little cheaper, but at the same time, holding that receipt earns you more staked ETH. So
yeah, cool.
All right. So let's get into the Bitcoin ecosystem news. Rodamore just announced an upgrade to the Runes protocol, the first one we've seen since April. I want to say that actually has been significant. Called Agents that will allow you for Runes AMMs on L1. I'm gonna jump up this video real quick, but I'd love to know your opinion on this so far.
All right. So I need to know if he is talking about AI agents, because if he is, then we were talking about this 6 months ago. I believe it was 6 months. Maybe it was 3 months ago. I can't remember when we were talking about this, but we were just, having a fun time on the show and maybe pre-show, just talking about what could be done with AI agents and, being able to have and like do the functionality of a smart contract with Bitcoin, because that's where Bitcoin lacks, is the on-chain computation ability to have a smart contract, right? And people kind of shot it down a little bit. Like Butoshi said, nah, that probably wouldn't work. But if
that's what made me stop talking about it.
Yeah. And if this is what Casey's doing, then this is gonna be very interesting.
All right, so this is about 1 minute. I'm gonna play it through its entirety. So
right now, if you're trading runes, you have these lots that you have to like. So you go
have
list
UTXOs, and the UTXOs have some number of runes, like 1,000 UTXOs.
Yeah,
it's 1,000 runes, and you can sell those 1,000 runes, but you can't sell half of them without doing a transaction for split them, which is expensive and nobody wants to do.
Yeah, but with the agent's
just sitting.
The agent can do whatever. The agent's how many runes you want?
How many runes
is the best I can do? Yeah. I mean, that's actually huge.
Yep.
So that's maybe the bigger story.
The thing is it all hinges on discoverability, right? How do you find agents? Like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that interactive transaction construction is sort of just the future of doing complicated things on Bitcoin. Because it's also something that I know works now.
Yeah.
There's things like L2s and bridges and like covenants and stuff like that. And like, I'm not into that stuff because I want stuff that works now. Like I want something that's concrete that I can go, okay, that's going to work. That's not like a research project.
Right now, if you're trading runes, you have these lots.
So what do you think? What do you think he means by that? That was the best clip that I found from that I watched a bunch of them, but this was the one that actually had the most knowledge of what he's trying to do. And one thing that got me was when he said interactive knowledge, like basically calling AI the back end of potentially the runes protocol.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting because I feel like if you're going to do something like this, the AI agent has to be like back tested for like through the every situation, but because LLMs, they can mess up, especially we saw like AI XBT like hand over the keys to his wallet, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm a little bit disconnected. So I want to learn more about where this is because the update hasn't happened yet to put the
No.
agents in, and I don't know if they have a date for that. This was more of like a communication update that this is going to happen, but maybe this is something they've been working on for a while. Who knows? But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm just glad he's doing something. But it's also one of his biggest fears when creating runes was creating MEV on Bitcoin. He said he does not want to create MEV on Bitcoin, right? And by doing the agent route, though, do you think that is a possibility? Can you create MEV using agents? Because all the agents are doing is doing your tasks, right? They're actually doing the stuff you don't want to do yourself. You're saying, hey, I want to sell 333, but it's 1001 UTXO. Figure this out. Do this for me, right? So it's basically just manually doing stuff for you in the back end, correct?
That's what it seems like, right? That it's
Yeah.
going to be doing stuff that is more, to where you don't feel, because that's the whole problem with not having smart contracts is execution, right? Like when you have to do things manually, and then wait. So I honestly don't know because I feel like there's so many more questions. I have so many questions still, what is it in fact an AI agent? If it is, like, how long have you been testing it? What's your protocol if the agent goes rogue or something, like, someone can manipulate it? You know what I mean? So
yeah, 100%. And Jake Allen, somebody who's actually creating this as well, said somebody used AI agent hustle to purchase dog on Solana. Bitcoin meme coins are being purchased cross-chain via AI, not something I could have predicted just a few years ago. So this is going live today in a few hours, and actually 5 minutes from now, I believe. But anyway, you'll be able to go to agenthustle.ai. And after seeing that post, I actually bought some dog. I bought some dog thing. And it's really easy. You just go to Agent Hustle here, and I can just tell, hey, buy more dog. And this is all using Solana's backend, right? But he already bought some more already for me. So I'm pretty sure that he's going to be okay with doing it. All right. How much would you want to purchase? I'm going to tell him to buy another 0.25 because I bought 0.25 last time. So he's telling me I have 1.3 SOL in my wallet and $16,000 already. I'm going to tell him to buy another 0.25.
you forgot to tell him in the very beginning, hey, my name's Shizzy, I don't want any BS.
Well,
Let's just
he knows this already. We've had this conversation already. So, but he is giving me more information than I want. But 0.25 more, and he should prepare me for this as well. So all you guys got to do is go to agenthustle.ai, and this will take you to the conversation with him, and he'll ask you to send him a SOL, and which is your wallet. It's non-custodian, but he'll have access to trading that Solana for you. So you will have to hook up with your Phantom wallet to this, and then send a SOL from your wallet to Agent Hustle, and then go. So I think he's working on it right now. You can get approximately, I understand you want more dog with, let me execute the swap you right now. Proceed. So he's using the API that is connected to my wallet. This is my wallet's API. So he's going through my wallet to purchase me this dog. And last time it was really quick. So I wonder this time if he's going to be as quick. So he's in the back end right now, working his magic. Pretty much the same as what Casey's creating, right? I mean, it's pretty much the same, in my opinion.
I don't know. Superfan, which is building a whole framework for a Big Noodle AI, says this sounds like automation to me, which means it doesn't have to be AI. Agent is kind of a proxy word for automation lately. We'll see. So automation,
okay,
like using like off-chain smart contracts or something like that, because obviously you can't do it on Bitcoin. But it did say AMM on layer 1, which I guess now that they're not saying like computation on Bitcoin anymore, like Cardano uses off-chain oracles
Indexing.
for their indexer. So I think that's going to be just more and more acceptable as long as the indexer is reputable and has been audited several times and all these things, right? And maybe that's just the way everybody's going to go for the future of the Bitcoin ecosystem.
I mean, Arch is doing it, right?
Yeah.
Arch is finalizing, right? They're finalizing on Bitcoin, but until that 10-minute block hits, they're allowing you to do
ICP's
stuff
doing
off-chain.
it.
ICP's doing it. It's kind of Merlin technically is trying to do that as well, right? So I mean, it's not something we've not seen before, but I'm just curious. I would love to have a conversation with Superfan. I didn't know that agent actually meant automation as well.
He's saying it's kind of being used as a proxy word for it lately.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, thank you, sir. It looks like our friends from Arch will be joining us real soon, right? Is that still on the table for us?
I think so.
Usually here by now. So yeah, but all right, let's just while we wait for them, let's kind of so right now there is a space right now, Super X, the topic spotlight, future of DeFi on Bitcoin, and Bob Bodley will be in there. They will be talking about all types of stuff. The Super X token has done a 3x this morning already. It got beaten down pretty bad over the last quarter.
Everything has over there.
It's just kind of getting back to where it was. But yeah, so how do you feel about potentially what they're saying here? Super X is going to bring their 2.2 million users into DeFi. I mean, we've seen Coinbase do this, we've seen Binance do this. I guess it just makes sense for all the exchanges to kind of get involved with this, but they're highlighting places that the other ones aren't, and that's Odin and places like Odin.
Yeah. So, are you kind of speculating that, or did they come out and make a statement? Are you speculating it based on the development screenshots and then this space? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday's tweets.
Okay, so I mean, and it does make sense when you kind of put the puzzle pieces together. They're a smaller exchange, of course, and all that stuff, but they look at it as probably an opportunity. Hey, everybody else is doing it. Might as well kind of go with that trend. It's going to be interesting though, because they are going to be sourcing from Odin, BNB, which is smart for them, right? As an aggregator. It's just going to be interesting what it looks like, that whole market, what it's going to look like, because it's going to give access to the everyday person to be able to go into stuff that isn't on the Coinbase centralized exchange or the Super X centralized exchange, but they benefit because of the fees or whatever. They can throw these aggregation fees on there. It's a smart business move, 100% for them, because they're like, look, we can technically not put a listing announcement out there, but then they have access to like this DeFi sector, and then we get the fees and all that stuff. So
yeah, 100%. That's the biggest deal with this, right? Like they're actually adding users to what Bob's doing, but these users aren't your normal DeFi guys. These aren't your normal guys who go off chain, right? I mean, go on chain. They're centralized exchange users, but we do know centralized exchange users are like 60% of the value, right? Like people who just use Coinbase, use Binance, use places like Super X, and so on and so on. There's not a lot of people who bring people on chain, and that's kind of why we became OnChain Revolution, to kind of bring people on chain. But they're actually giving people excuses not to at this point with these new projects and stuff like that. So,
yep.
All right. I guess we're still waiting for
Nick. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if Nick's going to join us, but we do have one of the guests. He's just getting situated down there.
All right, sounds good. I have one more thing to get into anyway. Well, two more actually before we get him going. So Liquidium actually says maximize your Odin runes with smart borrowing. Use Liquidium to hedge your rune position and borrow against your Odin runes. They add the top 5 Odin runes right now by market cap, and you can withdraw them and take them to Liquidium and borrow them against them, as long as there's someone to take the opposite side of your trade. How do you feel about Liquidium? Really kind of looking into what Bob's, again, everyone just looks at Bob and just says, I need to help. I need to participate in what he's doing. I need to be a part of what he's doing. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Well, I think Liquidium has been really great at taking advantage of any like new Bitcoin ecosystem, relevant part of the ecosystem. Because as soon as there's something that they can like partake in, right? And for them, it's the runes being able to bridge off to Bitcoin layer 1 or onto Bitcoin layer 1 from Odin. They saw that as an opportunity. So like my hats off to Robin and his team for spotting these opportunities. Cause I mean, they've done like a lot of volume with their borrowing and lending on Bitcoin layer 1. And that's an achievement, right? Like Fluid's done a lot of stuff on Bitcoin layer 1 as well. That's another achievement, but like, you know, taking advantage of, and both of them kind of do that. They both like see, like, is their staking happening on Fluid from Odin runes, right? And so I think Liquidium is going to be a powerhouse down the road. Same thing with Fluid. And then these other native Bitcoin layer 1 platforms should look at them and say, hey, look, man, these guys are like literally like they're going out searching for opportunities to do more on Bitcoin layer 1. And I think like a serious builder on native Bitcoin should follow those blueprints, because that's how you get the volume going.
Yeah, 100%. And it seems like they're smart to go after the newest, hottest thing, right? Liquidium always seems to be in the news going after the newest, hottest thing, and Fluid as well. You know, the Fluid set up staking vaults for Odin runes. You know, it's crazy.
Yep. So go ahead. Just to give you a heads up, Nick is going to be later. He's actually at that event in New York, but we'll start with Chimera, and then once you're ready after this.
Yeah. So this last one real quick. So everyone who owns an RSIC is waiting for block 88888. What do you think everyone what does everyone think Rune Dev does here? If you had to take one guess into potentially what Rune Dev is doing here between R6, RuneCoin, and we do know they have another coin called RuneCoin 2.0 or RuneCoin 2. What do you think? What do you think this is going to be? I think it's big nothing burger.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm hoping it's big, something crazy. Like, oh man, we developed this crazy AMM thing, blah blah blah, or something. But it's like, could they steal the thunder from Odin right now? I mean, the thunder is not like thunderous right now because liquidity is kind of like, you know, been passed to BNB, but at the same time, it's still kind of like the main, you know, quick trading environment right now in our ecosystem. But you know, RSIC people have been waiting for a long time and always wait for them to tweet about stuff. And this is like some huge moment. And I just don't know if they can live up to that, right? Because like it's like they have a block number. The price has gone up like 15%, 20% in the past couple of days.
More than that,
it has to be something big. And if it's not, even if it's like something okay, that's kind of cool, I think it's going to be considered a nothing burger.
I agree.
It's either huge, it's either big or go home kind of situation.
Yep. Yeah, man. All right, guys. It is officially Thursday, and every Thursday we kind of show off what's going on in Arch. Arch is building something really awesome. They're taking Solana's framework, right, and they're actually putting it on top of Bitcoin. So you're able to trade in this fast-paced Solana ecosystem type of environment, but everything finalizes on Bitcoin. And what do I mean by that? Let's just say you do a swap on Arch. It's going to happen in seconds, right? And then you're able to take that swapped coin and take that to a leveraged trading platform or to a yielding platform and do whatever you want. What was the purpose of you buying that token in the first place was, right? You can do whatever you want, and it's going to feel super fast. It's going to feel just like Solana. But every 10 minutes, or depending on the place you're using, will finalize those transactions on Bitcoin. So let's just say you go buy a dog, you will be able to have that dog in your wallet. But to see it in your Xverse wallet, it's going to take about 10 minutes. But you're able to do everything you need to do in Arch's fast-paced environment. It's going to be fun. It's going to be crazy. And it is something that we need to highlight here just to make sure that you guys are caught up. We want our community to actually be the first people to actually use this thing and actually be the first people to actually be a part of this, add liquidity, do crazy things, get airdrops. A lot of these builders who are building on Arch will have an airdrop, will have a token. So I want our community to definitely make out on this as well. So without further ado, let's bring in our first guest here.
Let's do it. Aklo, what is up, man? How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having me back. Can you hear me? Is mic all working?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate you guys having me back. A lot of updates on the Chimera end since we last talked. But yeah, I love that intro you guys provided about Arch. I feel like our approach, it's kind of funny, like, you know, our approach to using Arch is probably a bit different than others. You know, like, as you guys mentioned, they do make it possible for, like, you know, instant transactions, you know, instantaneous trading, kind of like Odin Fun. But the way we're using it is kind of in a very minimalistic approach where, you know, the vast majority of what we're doing is still just straight on layer one Bitcoin. But, you know, Arch, we just rely on for essentially executing some smart contracts under the hood. So it's still kind of, you know, from our perspective, will feel a bit like SlowFi, but, you know, we're leveraging that ability to, you know, have programmability, have smart contracts, but also for, you know, users to feel secure that, you know, the assets that they're interacting with and, you know, using on the platform are still ultimately on layer one. So it's like a very simple kind of like way to get your toes wet into the Arch ecosystem. You know, if you're one of those guys that might be a little weary about, you know, using these kinds of platforms like an Odin Fund or what have you, I feel like ours is a good way to kind of just test the waters.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing about that Arch that I think people need to understand is it's like it gives the options to the builders of how native they want their protocol to be in terms of you know, how much they're doing within the just a standalone Arch SVM, or you know, doing a lot of it on Bitcoin and handling just the computation with the smart contracts with the SVM. Did I get that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Because like they are working on their own token standard. From I hope this isn't giving away too much alpha, but from what I've heard, they are, you know, working on their own token standard. You know, outside of like a Runes or BRC20 that, you know, you would purely interact with within the Arch ecosystem, and I think that's awesome. I think you know, I can't wait to see that. But the way that our whole platform works is that, you know, we're really just using Arch to, you know, essentially as like a trustless, smart contract platform to interact with your assets that are already on layer one. So your Runes, your BRC20s, your Ordinal inscriptions. We're not yet, you know, pushing users to adopt a whole new token standard.
Yeah, gotcha.
That will be exciting once that starts to roll out too.
Yeah, man. Could you actually explain for anyone who's new, who didn't watch last time, what you guys are doing, and basically what's the main goal of your product?
Yeah, it's a good idea. I'm sure there are some viewers here that didn't see the last episode. So yeah, essentially we're working on our core product, our decentralized ETFs or tokenized ETFs. So they are essentially a passive investment vehicle that allows you to gain, you know, broad market exposure to the entire Bitcoin risk economy. So, you know, say you're somebody who, you know, you heard about Ordinal's explosive growth, you heard about Ordi going to $1 billion, you know, you heard about, you know, Taproot Wizards or whatever it is, and you're interested in the space, but you know, you don't necessarily have the you know, the expertise to know exactly which assets to invest in. With the Chimera, you know, the BTC10 ETF, you can just purchase this single ETF token that'll bundle all the top 10 assets on Bitcoin layer one, weighted by market cap, automatically rebalanced regularly. So, you know, you're just able to passively gain exposure to this entire, you know, Bitcoin layer one economy. And, you know, our whole thesis is that this will be the single most important market on earth. And, you know, I truly believe that, you know, obviously Bitcoin is the biggest blockchain on earth. So why would the ecosystem on top of it not become one of, if not the biggest, you know, crypto ecosystems in the world, right? You know, we saw how big DeFi became on Ethereum. We saw how big NFTs and meme coins became on Solana. So, you know, it only makes sense that there will be some kind of, like market that comes to Bitcoin layer one. And, you know, we're already seeing the evidence of it. I'm convinced that this, you know, Ordinals, Runes, Liquidium, you know, BTC Fi, the things that are happening now, I'm convinced, you know, will be here for quite a long time, since, you know, they inherit all the security properties, you know, they inherit all the ethos and all the awesome features of Bitcoin itself.
Yeah, man. I hope so too. So correct correct me if I'm wrong here. So you have this ETF. We're seeing dog, mim, pups, OMB, node monkeys, quantum cats, right? Let's just say, for instance, this ETF is about $1 million, $100,000 into each asset. What happens if I'm sitting with node monkeys and some big whale comes in and he buys, 100 node monkeys off the floor? The node monkeys skyrocket, go up 80% on the day. What does your ETF do that day in the back end?
So what we would do is it's being automatically rebalanced on a regular schedule. So in a moment like that, it would most likely become overweighted. So they're all weighted by market cap, right? So the top market cap asset would probably be around 30% of the portfolio. So if it ever becomes more than 30%, because its market cap grows, just like you said, 80%, 2x, whatever it is, then what would happen is we would sell off that token until it comes back down to 30% and buy up the assets that are at the bottom of the weighting spectrum. Gotcha. So yeah, in that way, you might not get the same gain that you would get from holding that single asset, but you're still getting, a nice chunk of that gain, and your risk is going to be reduced, for the rest of the portfolio. And, it works vice versa as well. If something, drops below its target weight because, its value goes down, then yeah, those are the assets that get sort of bought back up from the oversold assets.
Yeah. So it seems like it's kind of like a safe way to not get wrecked necessarily by like one asset that's within this whole like index. But then also, like, if you're in a great market though, like they can all rise together, right? And obviously, it goes both ways, right? In terms of that, it's like it's more, it can make like one of your investments more stable as opposed to having like these as individuals. Is that a good way to look at it?
Yeah, exactly. I think personally it's the perfect sweet spot for your risk to reward ratio, pretty much that you can get anywhere in crypto, because you have the low risk nature of the the automatically rebalancing portfolio, but you have the high risk aspect of these assets themselves being so early to global adoption, right? Like, my thesis is that all Ordinal's assets, all Rune's assets, especially from right now, could very easily 10 to 100x. So most traditional ETFs, indexes, you're not going to get a 10x out of them. But the reason you might with something like this is because we're targeting a very specific kind of niche market that we happen to think is severely undervalued. So I think it's the perfect sweet spot. It's not as high risk as like a meme coin ETF, which if we had built that on Solana, all of them would be down right now, right? And of course, no matter what, you're always you're always going to be affected by the larger macro trends, the larger cycles. But yeah, I just feel like it's that perfect sweet spot because again, you have the low risk of it being automatically rebalanced for you, automatically managed for you. You don't have to actively trade. But then the high risk factor of these assets being so early until they're into their adoption. You can poke around in the app if you want to. We have a bunch of new features that aren't fully connected to the back end at the moment, but at least the front end is fully built out. Yeah, why don't I walk you guys through this a little bit? Yeah. So that's a hybrid swap that you guys saw last time. It allows you to essentially fractionalize an inscription collection, turn it into a rune. So the next thing that you could do here is you could go to the LP module. So say you just use that swap. Say you converted your Quantum Cat inscription into a Quantum Cat token. you could then come here and, choose which, liquidity pool you'd want to add to. Right now, there's only these two options. And then, you'd be able to pair that Runes token along with some Bitcoin. And now you're earning yield on your Ordinal inscriptions. So I believe we're the first platform, one of the first platforms, let's just say, to allow users to natively earn yield on their Ordinal inscriptions. No bridging. Trust minimized through Arch Network. This is powered by Saturn's SDK here.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah. And then you'll see the ETF module is also new since we last talked. And this is again, this is like the core product here, where you can not only buy and sell the ETF token itself, but if you click on that redeem button in the top right, it changes the swap module to a redeem module. Now, say you could change the amount of that ETF token, right, to say 100. Yeah, and so now you'll see the amounts kind of dynamically update, and that's how many of those tokens you would redeem by.
By what?
Cool.
What are you redeeming? What do you what?
So you would first have to own the ETF token, right?
Gotcha.
You have to have bought it first here. Yeah.
Okay.
So the redemption mechanism, this is what allows the assets under management to always stay pegged to that NAV token price.
Gotcha.
Yeah, say like for instance, if the assets under management become out of balance or a different pricing than the ETF token itself, you could essentially perform an arbitrage trade through this redemption mechanism, and that will balance them back out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tricky to do this with a fixed supply, which is, I feel like, the one big setback or limitation I could say we're dealing with the Runes protocol. Ideally, how it's done on Solana, you actually have inflationary tokens where you're burning and you're minting new tokens to keep that whole system in balance, the NAV price in balance. But we figured out how to do it with fixed supply ETF token, and it'll certainly be a challenge, but we're up for that challenge. We want to see Bitcoin Layer 1 grow in functionality and features.
Yeah, this is amazing. I love it. God.
I was gonna say, so you said if you want to tokenize your Ordinal, so are you only able to tokenize like whitelisted collections right now?
So we can tokenize any Ordinal inscription collection, but the challenge is in rallying the community to essentially provide enough liquidity for the the pools to have significant liquidity for ease of trading. So you wouldn't want to like tokenize like a dead collection, right? Because who's going to come around and provide LP, right? So we're going to start with the biggest collections. We're going to start with the blue chips. Hopefully, form some kind of collaboration, some kind of partnerships. I know a lot of these inscription communities might not necessarily be super into the idea at first or fully understand it. But, I think when it comes to the top blue chips, part of how we're going to incentivize them to participate in all this is by, providing some of our own liquidity to their collections. So, actually like purchasing up some of those assets off the floor and then, swapping them in so that we have the token for the ETF. And I think a partnership like that is going to be a lot more of like a symbiotic, harmonious relationship with the inscription collections versus just rallying the community and having them all personally provide their own liquidity.
Yeah. No, I was just asking because you said earning off of your item, but it makes sense. Like, if you hold one of the collections that's in this ETF, that's how you would be able to earn by tokenizing it and then locking it up, correct?
Yeah, any of the collections that we've officially tokenized and have a liquidity pool for, you can earn yield from. I mean, then again, if there's anybody out there that they have a whole bunch of inscriptions they really want to earn yield on, then, you hit us up. We can talk about setting up that pool if there's sort of enough demand, enough liquidity for that to be worth it. So there's no technological limitation. It's really, liquidity is kind of the only hurdle there. So yeah, if you're somebody out there that say you have a whole bunch of inscriptions from a certain collection and some BTC laying around, and you want to seed a pool and earn the vast majority of the trading fees from that pool, then that's awesome. Hit us up. We'd love to set up that pool.
So for instance, like for us, right, we have a Ordinal Revolution OG pass, right? This is something that we've had for over a year now. So potentially we could get people to kind of tokenize these passes. There's about 300 total supply, 270 holders. We can have people actually come in, and we could supply the liquidity ourselves with the pass. So they could potentially come in, tokenize the pass, and they can provide liquidity themselves, or they can swap that token for Bitcoin if they want to, or vice versa from Bitcoin to that token. And then we technically have a token, but we technically just have this inscription, right? That's kind of like could be something that we could potentially do, correct?
Well, the thing real quick I wanted to say would be they would have to provide Bitcoin and the Ordinal to have an LP, right? To be a part of the LP, I think. Do I have that right?
Sorry, ask that last question one more time.
So if what Shizzy said, if someone wanted to bring a pass, but if they want to earn on it, they would have to add Bitcoin with the Ordinal inscription to create like a liquidity pool, correct?
Correct. You would need some Bitcoin with
So they would have to bring the Bitcoin side or whatever.
Well, we could bring the Bitcoin. We could come over.
Yeah,
tokenize some passes,
but I think it's based
LP.
on the individual. Like when you put it into an LP, like if it's me, you know what I mean? Like I would have to have Bitcoin and the pass. I couldn't be like, oh, well, I'm going to join this. You know what I mean?
Well, you can tokenize the pass with no problem. You don't need to technically. You can tokenize the pass. Is what I'm kind of getting after. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way you would do it is kind of act as a community, see who has the passes, who has the Bitcoin, and you could always figure out a way where you guys kind of just pool those assets together. Some people provide Bitcoin, some people provide inscriptions, and as a community kind of track that. But yeah, ultimately you would have to pair them at the correct pricing. But I love projects that have like low supplies like this, like 300,000 inscriptions. Like fractionalization for those kinds of collections, I feel like is just a really huge unlock, because as somebody with a very low supply collection myself on Ordinals, I know how tough it can be to get volume there. So increasing that to a billion supply token can often help with volume. But yeah, I'd love to sidebar and talk about that one.
For sure. Well, thank you so much, man. I'd love to give you a few more minutes to kind of talk to our community. If there's anything that you missed out or you wanted to add, please do.
Okay, let's see. Well, yeah, so just to give everybody the update on where we're at, last time we launched on testnet for phase 1 of the proof of concept build out, which was really just the inscription tokenization system. So since then we've built out we combined phase 2 and 3 into one. We built out the whole DEX functionality with the Saturn SDK, liquidity provisioning, swapping. And then phase 3 was the ETF token itself, the redemption mechanism. That's all working on testnet. So we're essentially like 90% plus done with the MVP. We just have like a few little bugs and kinks to work out with the Saturn SDK. But other than that, everything is essentially finished here. So we are gearing up to roll out the full feature set on testnet 4. Which is super exciting for us. Hopefully sometime this month or at the very latest next month. And yeah, then we'll be sort of off to the races and opening up our private strategic raise in order to bring this fully to mainnet. So yeah, man, we're well underway here in development. I'm super impressed with the results I've been getting with my dev. I've only been working with him for like less than a year now, but he's been absolutely crushing it. And yeah, if you guys participate in this testnet beta, there will be an airdrop in the future, so long as everything goes according to plan, we successfully raise all that good stuff. Everybody will be entitled to an airdrop based on their participation. So we already had a bunch of people participate, probably like 2,400 users around there for the phase 1. So yeah, we have a Discord open. You guys can hop in there and sign up on the wait list now for phase 2. And yeah, that's the plan. We also we applied to Tim Draper's new accelerator program, Bitcoin Fi.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll hear about the results of that within about a week or two. We were personally invited. We were invited to the first cohort, but that was like 6+ months ago, and I didn't have my dev at the time, so I didn't apply to the first cohort. This is only the second. So yeah, I kind of got personally invited again, and yeah, that would be nice because it'll kickstart us with a little bit of capital to really kind of lock in full time and bring this to mainnet.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely awesome. And guys, go check out. It's at CHIMERA BTC on X. Chimera, right? That's how you say that. Chimera.
Chimera.
Chimera. Sorry. Check them out, guys. Chimera BTC at Chimera BTC, and go give them a follow. Go join their Discord and go participate in testnet. He said airdrop. Guys. So
also, a lot of people have asked, why is it called Chimera? What is this logo and mascot and all? So yeah, I guess I could explain that real quick. So it's called Chimera because a chimera is like a mythological hybrid creature, right? It's like a hybrid cross between a lion, an eagle, like a goat, a serpent, right? It can be a lot of.
It's like a griffin, kind of.
That exactly. A griffin is a kind of chimera, technically.
Gotcha.
Right? A hybrid mythological creature. So this archetype to us, what it represents is a union of opposites. So, the first tech we were building before we even built out these, tokenized ETFs was the inscription fractionalization system. And what that does is it turns non-fungible assets into fungible assets. So to us, that's where it all came from, because we were calling this system like hybrid NFTs, right? Because they're a hybrid between non-fungibles and fungible tokens. So yeah, it's like the union of opposites. You can now trade not only tokens but also JPEGs all within one hybrid experience.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Love it, man.
Amen.
Well, we appreciate you, Aklo. Again, you're always welcome back on the show, and we're excited for the future of Chimera, and we will talk to you soon, sir.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me back.
Yep. Take it easy.
Yeah, man. I was thinking, dude, we could potentially tokenize the pass. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, we could, right? Like, I mean, the thing that I was looking at when I was asking them that question was, it seemed like they focus on the kind of pre-selected in that ETF. But like he mentioned, if there's enough support and demand, then they'll be able to kind of cater towards that community.
Well, you can tokenize it, but he won't necessarily pick it for the ETF, right? Like just because you tokenize it doesn't mean it's going to get picked for the ETF. It's just that you can tokenize it, potentially using their platform, pay their fees, and then if it does get in the top 10, which I doubt our fans will unless you really, really push it, then it won't be a part of that ETF.
Yeah, and I guess like the swapping and stuff of that token, if it generates enough fees, that's where you earn from the liquidity and stuff like that. So it's super exciting stuff.
Take that to Odin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that
there as well.
This is the kind of thing that I always talk about with Arch. It's outside the box stuff, right? And we're about to have another guest jump up here Ordies in a second, which is like another approach to like being able to use Bitcoin layer 1 assets. And to your point though, like with Odin doing stuff with runes that you can bridge back onto Bitcoin layer 1 and do stuff on, I think that's going to happen like with Arch and with all these other kind of like chain abstraction type of situations. But let's go ahead and bring Haas up from Ordies, and welcome him back. Hey Haas, how are you doing?
GM, I hope you can hear me loud and clear. I'm currently facing third world country problems.
All good, man.
So hope all is good. Thank you for having me back. It's been a little while, I guess. We're still here, a year on, still building ODs. Arch has been great, and I guess I thought I'd jump on and just share some kind of updates with what's been going on, kind of changes within our own team, and kind of where we're now positioning ourselves compared to the last call. And also see how you guys are getting on, how the Bitcoin, see if any of you guys have minted any of your Taproot wizards. Really, I think that's the other one. So it's been really good. It's been really good. So we've now kind of, I wouldn't say pivoted, but our main goal was to, become a liquidity protocol, which we're continuing to do so. And of course, buy now, pay later was going to be our first yield strategy. But we had a kind of a eureka moment during the build or towards the end of the build of that, with USDT now proposing the Lightning collaboration, and that's huge for us. I mean, when you look at the figures, Lombard Finance, who have staked 40% of Babylon's total Bitcoin holding, are able to generate a 500 million TVL using an LST model. And that is absurd if you think about how much TVL is being generated on a bridging system. I'm not going to call it a bridging system, but essentially it pretty much is, right? Using LSTs, wrapped LSTs. And you can imagine the barrier to entry when it comes to individuals from institutions. And, it's like Bob down the road who's got a ton of money and is like, I've got $1 million. Let me just put this $1 million into Bitcoin, buys 10 Bitcoin. And then it's like, well, how do I earn interest on this? And he has to go down the route of like going into Lombard and creating LSTs and then bridging and then receiving the yield in LST. Like it's just complicated. So that whole narrative push for us has been really huge. And we're like, well, we're building natively. You're going to receive, for instance, like yield on Bitcoin, which is the greatest thing. But what's great about this USDT lending is or USDC or even any stable coin lending in general is the fact that, let's say Bob holds 1 Bitcoin. He then decides that, I bought, he wants to buy something and he wants to use his Bitcoin as collateral. Well, not only can he receive that stable token as collateral, but he'll still earn yield on his Bitcoin as well. So in short, he's actually in a win-win situation. So long as he pays his Bitcoin back, is still generating yield. Of course, there'll be a slight deviation in regards to returns he gets on the yield, but his asset is safe. And more importantly, he has got what he wanted to do from his asset. And I think that's what Arch really does. And I think that's why, it's so important for us to really preach about Arch. And we've created many documents for our clients to really help them understand what Arch is. I mean, we've seen Amin try to simplify Arch, and it's not simple. But, it's done really well when he speaks about how you can look at it as a process. So a lot is happening. We've closed our pre-seed, which is fucking huge. Do apologize my language. And that's huge news for us. It's a year been in the making. And I think I'd just recommend, and we've also, I was mentioning, I see the project before us also mentioning about Bitcoin Fi. This will be our second Bitcoin Fi application. We got rejected on the first one. We don't mind a rejection. Actually, rejections fuel me even further as a founder to be like, I mean, I'm not going to shade on anybody, but there was games that were accepted into that cohort, and I'm certainly better than a game. I would say so. But again, it's just the whole thing that it's a learning process. 6 months ago, if you'd asked me about, how does Arch work and how are we going to build natively on Bitcoin, I wouldn't have a clue. You'd have asked me how yield strategies work. I probably didn't, I was learning these things as we go. So as a founder, it's been a really good journey for me. Some come in and get it really quick. and for others it takes time. And I guess that's kind of where we are at the moment.
Yep, I love it. I love it. But let's kind of rewind here a little bit and maybe break down what Ordies is from a fundamental perspective for the audience, because we got some new listeners this time.
Amazing. Yeah, so to give you a basic introduction of Ordies is a liquidity protocol compromising of, our first main feature is the buy now, pay later. Now, essentially what a buy now, pay later does is it allows you to buy high value assets or high value ordinals on a kind of pay interest scheme. So for an example, let's say you're Kobe, you wanted to buy a puppet. You could pay 20% down payment. The remainder would be paid by Ordies. And then, of course, you would own that 20% of that ordinal. Now, until you did not, there's three things of the way we look at this. It's a short, a mid-term, and a long-term investor. The short-term investor is your guy who's like, oh my gosh, I've just seen Bitcoin puppets. They're about to go through the roof. Let's buy one now and we'll sell it tomorrow. So he's just on a short-term narrative play and he's going to come in and do what he needs to do. Your mid-term guy is, okay, well, the cycle is good. Ordinals are going to hang and I'm going to stay here. I'll pay up the fees that I need to. And when it's time, I'll just sell. And then your long-term investor is like, I've got a ton of money, but I don't really want to pay that right now. So why don't I just leave it, pay the interest, and eventually I'll, own the asset. Of course, this allows, three different types of people or different people that we know as investors to come and purchase high-value assets. And again, I think the key fundamental here is before you're looking at this as, oh, okay, this is going to be really good for the Bitcoin or the ordinal ecosystem, which I still stand by. But the way our vision has changed now is like, okay, how can we generate yield from this strategy? So by individuals coming, they'll earn, there'll be interest payments, we'll obviously make our own fees, which will be very minimal. But of course, how do we give back the yield? And that's kind of where it's not a pivot in the product, but a pivot in the mindset. And so we're constantly looking at new strategies now, and one of which I mentioned.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's awesome. Could you explain the pivot a little bit more, just so I know from previously to the thinking now?
Yeah, so previously what the idea was to just focus on just a buy now, pay later product. So it's just like, okay, we're going to be a buy now, pay later for ordinals, and that's all we're going to do. So it would have been a situation where it's like we build our own marketplace. We, speak to all these guys and say, hey, list your coins here. We use a Magic Eden API, which is still not built, I don't think. Or we pass it. And then, of course, what that would have meant is that individuals would come to Ordies and use the marketplace to buy, sell, trade, and do what they want.
I got you.
The pivot really started when we started to look into how much of a headache we were having when it came to community. Like, I've been in the game long enough to know that Zeely and Galaxy don't work anymore. And building community is like, it takes time, effort, and more importantly, it takes dedication. And it's not an everyman job. And then we looked at like the tokenization model is like, okay, you launch a token at like a 50 mil val, right? Like, for you to be sustainable, you really need to have the hype. Otherwise, well, you're just going to waste your time trying to bring hype. It's never going to happen. So the whole pivot is really changing around that, where it's turned into more of a yield bearing liquidity protocol more than just one single product. So it's like a suite of products now. So we've given you BNPL now. I'll be back in 6 months or 3 months with the USDT, where you're like, oh my gosh, Ordies is throwing out USDT lending now. And then I can come back with collateralized loans. I can even come back with a leverage trading protocol in the future. So really, we've taken the approach now is, and it was one conversation I had with a very good venture capital individual, and he said, this is the first time that institutions, individuals, or high-end W individuals, oil companies, governments are looking at Bitcoin as a financial instrument.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, due to the scarcity of Bitcoin, it's only going to ever increase in value. And we all know that. So essentially, the longer you stay in this game of providing yield, the more money you're going to make. And I think Archer's definitely kind of helped with the whole strategy there as well. I mean, look, like I just mentioned them numbers in regards to Lombard Finance, purchasing on LST models. Just imagine what it would be like if there was no barrier to entry, where people could come and Bob could come, put his Bitcoin straight in. He knows it's safe and he receives Bitcoin back. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I mean, I love it. You know, there's so many projects within this ecosystem with Arch that are bringing kind of a new original idea, right? And I think that's the whole idea of building something in Bitcoin. We don't want to just replicate, like, you know, obviously you have to have your fundamental stuff like the dexes and stuff like that, but you know, you don't want to just create a new kind of like house of cards type of thing from last cycle that collapses. You want to bring something to be able to really prop up and highlight a lot of these Bitcoin layer 1 assets. And I think this is just another great example of that. And it's shown, like you said, with Lombard and Babylon and all these like kind of BTC5, like how people view Bitcoin and the value of it. And so I'm with you. I think like the future of the Bitcoin ecosystem is going to be huge, especially whenever TradFi comes over and says, you know, to your point, as long, you know, the longer we're in this with Bitcoin, you know, the more it's just going to continually just go up in value. But the assets that survive on Bitcoin layer 1 as well for the next cycle and the next cycle, they're going to continually go up in value because of that. Do you think that's I have that correct?
100%. And I guess it's going to be, it's a long game. When you're, and you've got to truly understand what cryptocurrency is. It's Bitcoin, and then it's everything else. And when you truly understand that actually Bitcoin is the one asset that overcomes the whole other market, you know, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm building on the best chain. I'm building, you know, all right, cool. We can all sit here and moan and groan about how slow it is and how this is and how that is and whatever, right? But when you have programs like Arch, you know, it's like we're going to be continuing to, there's continuance of development. Arch are developing further. We're developing further. Other projects around us, like I've just jumped on and listened to that project. I was like, oh, okay, we should speak with them. There might be something we can do. So I think that's super important. But yeah, I mean, we're still here. I'll be here in 2 years, 3 years. I won't let this die. You know, and I really kind of I wanna bring this out now. So yeah, hopefully it'll be very soon.
Awesome.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, Haas, we always give a couple of minutes kind of towards the end because we are wrapping up here for the Arch kind of Thursday segment here. So you got a couple of minutes to kind of, I guess, talk to the community on maybe any expectations or any last details that you would like to get out.
Yeah, sure. So we've got a testnet upcoming in about 2 weeks. That was kind of what I was waiting for. This is going to be a huge testnet, maybe one of the biggest that Arch has seen as well. Trying to compete with the big boys like Saturn and their testnets, and you know, why not have some friendly competition going on in the Arch eco? Get involved. It'll be something that you'll enjoy doing. Testnets are not about giving away as much as they are about giving away. It's more about come and help us, and that's what the narrative we really want to push is the help you can provide to us will essentially allow us to build a bigger, better, and more swift working, you know, BNPL product. But more importantly, it'll allow us to bring that hype to Arch Network, which it truly does deserve. So yeah, follow, like, and share. I don't want to be a YouTuber and kind of give you a subscription kind of towards the end. I might even throw an ad in here in a second. But you know, that's pretty much it from my side. It's like, you know, just follow the journey with Arch and you'll see how fruitful it may be.
Yeah, man, definitely looking forward to seeing what you guys do next, and definitely looking forward to participating in your testnet as well.
And you guys in Vegas?
As long as Bitcoin goes up from here, we will potentially go to Vegas. We don't want to go during a bear market.
I'll be in Vegas. I'll be in Vegas.
I'm booked up already. I'm booked up already. I got my place booked up in Vegas. I was my dream to stay in that hotel. I don't even know. I got somebody to book it. I don't know the one that's it's in the movie Wolf. Is it Wolf of Wall Street? No, The Hangover. What's the hotel called?
Yeah.
Oh, it's gone out of my head. Caesars. Got my place there nice and early before the prices go up, and I shall be sitting in a hot tub in the evening doing nothing. And during the day, I'm looking forward to I'm actually looking forward to just like connecting with people from the other side of the world, like Bitcoiners, individuals in our eco that I've not kind of been able to meet. So super excited for that as well.
Yeah, man, definitely gonna be fun.
And
thank you again.
Yeah, we'll connect. Go ahead.
Yeah,
we'll connect with you guys once we're out there as well. We like to connect with the builders and stuff. But yes, appreciate you, Haas, and you're always welcome back. And we will talk soon.
Amazing. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for having me again. It's a pleasure.
See you, man.
Take it easy.
All right, guys. Yeah, I think that's our show. I did have one more thing, but we can just save it for tomorrow. Because we're already kind of at that limit there. It was just the tap stuff. If you guys haven't checked out the tap stuff yet, I actually leave the link to the Medium article in the chat, and you guys check it out. But we'll go over it tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big day. We're gonna have Emblem Vault joining us. We're gonna have Fluid joining us, and we'll go over this tap Medium article that we didn't get a chance to go over today. But really appreciate you guys, all 185 of you guys here on YouTube and X with us. So.
Yep. As she said, we do greatly appreciate y'all. If you could check out our partners, it would help us out a ton. Emblem Vault is the interoperability tooling for the Bitcoin Layer 1 asset class, more specifically Ordinals. You're going to be able to jump your Ordinals from Bitcoin Layer 1 to Merlin Chain, to Abstract, to Base, to eventually Solana. And how are you going to do that? Most likely, you're going to use Agent Hustle, which is their AI BTC wallet that's going to be able to vault these ordinals for you and handle that part. They also have their Rune that's going to be coming out with their TGE in September. And you can actually participate in kind of like a pre-sale of that by purchasing an ERC 721 on OpenSea called Emblem Vault or Emblem Founder Vault keys. And then once the TGE happens, you're going to be able to get your Bitcoin runes into your Bitcoin wallet. So super exciting stuff. It's different approach for sure. Love that they're trying different things. You can learn about all this at emblem.vision. And then BetBTC is the predictions marketplace for the Bitcoin ecosystem. All you need is an Xverse wallet, some Bitcoin, and 6 Bitcoin blocks, and you can start placing bets on their markets right away. They just released the Blitz 10-minute markets. If you want to bet on BTC, BNB, or Solana, going up or down within a 10-minute time frame, you can do so. It's pretty degen, but it could be pretty fun for sure. Yesterday, Shizzy lost because it's always up. It's always up. He never takes it down. But hey, you got to appreciate the optimism. That is for sure. But yeah, they're gonna have a lot of features coming out soon, guys. They're they got a lot of support and a lot of backing. These guys are building big things. So you can learn more at betbtc.win. And Artura Finance is the leverage platform of the Bitcoin ecosystem. You can place leverage with synthetic Bitcoin fungibles such as Sats, Ordi, Doggo to the Moon. They're going to also allow you to obviously place leverage with popular tokens outside of the ecosystem. But you're going to be able to earn passively eventually by staking in their liquidity vaults and stuff like that. You can learn all about this at artura.finance. And Fluid Tokens, the first to offer staking vaults on Bitcoin Layer 1. If you are a founder of an Ordinal collection or you etched a rune and you have an established community of some sort, you can qualify to get a staking vault created for your collection. You can reach out to Raul. He'll get you set up for that. If you can't get through to him, reach out to us. But make sure you have an established community. It doesn't have to be huge, but some sort of community before you move forward with that. You can learn more at fluidtokens.com. And Merlin Chain, your #1 scaling solution for Bitcoin native L1 assets and protocols. If you are a retail user and you want to swap for Doggo to the Moon, you can do so at merlinswap.org, as they have a big, healthy liquidity pool over there. You can swap your Merlin token or your Wrap BTC for Doggo to the Moon there. Don't forget about the proof of stake securing Merlin Chain right now. If you have Merlin tokens, you can stake for 15% APR, and they're going to be adding staking Bitcoin to secure the chain as well. More details to come for that. You can visit merlinchain.io for more information. And don't forget about our integrated partners and Foxy AI building the metaverse on Bitcoin called the Bitverse, as well as their first-person shooter game called Cypher Striker. We live streamed it last Tuesday. We're going to continually do it every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Everybody's invited. You just need a compatible wallet. All the Bitcoin wallets should work. And I think for Solana, I think they do the Phantom wallet, and then maybe EVM, MetaMask as well. I got to double check there. Super fun. Everybody can play. And then lastly, but not least, Ordinal Hive is going to be your aggregator Ordinal marketplace. So the cheapest Ordinals around on Bitcoin Layer 1 and Layer 2 will be at Ordinal Hive. And we thank you guys so much for checking out our partners.
Yup. Great job, man. Bitcoin is not doing good. What happened, bro? I thought we were gonna have a good day.
Every single time.
But yeah. But if you guys want to have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out OnChain Revolution.io, we have some of the best articles dating all the way back to last year. If you know someone just entering space, please send them our website. We really feel like it can help them get started and caught up to where we are today. If you guys need a VPN, we have the #1 VPN, that is Nord. Check out our link here. 70% off coupon. If you're gonna get a Nord, get it through us, guys. Make sure you're not paying the $10 a month. Make sure you are paying the $3. And if you don't use Nord, get a different VPN, right? But make sure you guys have a VPN. You do not want to go on these websites with your IP hanging out. I don't want to see that. You don't want that to happen. That could lead to your address, guys. Just don't do it. And you're going to go to shady places. They'll identify you as a crypto guy. You don't want that. Don't do it. Use a VPN. Put it to far away land like I do. I usually use Switzerland, Italy, and sometimes even El Salvador just for the culture, right? So definitely get a VPN. And if you guys are going to Bitcoin 2025 Las Vegas, like Haas has said, he's going to be there. But definitely use our link here. Get the tickets as cheap as possible. This is for the event. You can get the industry pass. That's the one that I recommend because it's all 3 days. Or you can get the festival pass, which is the second 2 days. That is up to you guys. The industry pass is a lot more money, but I think it's worth it. That first day was the best. And if you guys also need merch for that event or any event, we have some of the best merch in all of crypto. Click our store tab here. That'll take you to our site, and you guys can check out all the merch that we have: hats, school bags, jackets, and so much more. Check everything out here at OnChainRevolution.io. And guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough. No. You're not bullish enough. No. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear traps. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain Revolution.